So first we will create a project using Laravel command. So the prerequisite, before entering these commands like this, you have to make sure that you have PHP, latest version of PHP installed, then latest version of Composer installed, and every other thing required, to install the Laravel application. You can check the Laravel documentation, like what all things are needed before you create a Laravel project. So once that things are installed in your system, whether it is Mac or Windows, then you are good to go, to create the project. So once you have installed all the things like uh, PHP, or if you are using Windows, then you have to install XAMPP server or WAMP, because it comes with Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So install XAMPP and then install the Composer. Once you have installed the Composer, you know uh, once you have installed the Composer, then make it, globally executable, like anywhere from any command you should be able to, run the Composer command like this. Suppose right now I'm using Mac, so if I type Composer from any directory, then it should be possible. So once that all things are installed, you have to create a project. Let's create the project. Composer create project Laravel slash Laravel. Let's give the name to the project called crude app. So now what Composer will do is that he will install the fresh copy of Laravel with all the required boilerplates, like ready-made templates required to, create an application. So best thing about the Laravel, as far as from 5 years of experience, is that you don't have to do the basic stuff. It comes ready-made, like authentication, creating a model is very easy. They have their own directory structure established, so that you don't need to create your own architecture of how your code will be there, how your code will be placed. So everything is segregated as per, as per the requirement, not as per the requirement, but it is segregated as per the standards. Like if you are dealing with database, then you have to create a model. If you are dealing with views, then you have to there is a resource folder dedicated where you will create the resources like views that will see that any customer will see. So now as you can see, the Laravel project has been installed correctly. Okay, see. So what we will do is that we will test whether it is working or not. So sorry, first we have to go into the directory, then type php artisan. So php artisan is the command line tool provided by the provided by the Laravel framework, where you can execute the common commands, like if you want to create a controller, then you can directly type the php artisan controller and it will create the controller for you. It has also the sample templates installed if you want that. Okay, so Laravel basically contains so Laravel is basically the MVC model framework. So what is MVC model framework is that uh, so MVC is like model view controller. So there is a model who will communicate with the database. Then if you want to write any business logic, then you will write all that logic inside the controller. Then there is a view. Views are basically the user interface you create in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript that any user, any website user will see. So how this functions is that if how this function is that, suppose let's take an example. Since the project has been installed properly, let's run this project php artisan serve, and it will run the project. Okay, so now as you can see, Laravel runs the project on 800 port by default. So this is the view you see when this is the home page. Basically, whenever user types the enters the home URL, so basically this is the home URL. So this view is displayed. So let's get into the back side, like what is actually happening. Let's get started. So this is the Laravel sample app installed, Laravel project. It contains app directory where there will be, where it contains the models basically communicates with the database. There is HTTP folder which contains the middleware controller. So controller is basically anything, any business logic, whether it is a save command or whether any calculations are there, you can write inside the controller, and that controller will communicate with the model. You cannot directly communicate with the model via API call or anything, but how this request work is that if someone enters this URL, so first is it checks that in route that URL has been registered or not. So routes are basically of four types. Web is basically the any URL, that's any URL you want to register and give the response, you should put that URLs inside this. So example, as you can see, this is the home page and this is the home page route registered. It shows that whenever this URL is been entered by the user, you will return this view. Okay. So here there is no any controller involved because there is no business logic required, since this is the home page and there are no any calculation going on. You can directly return the view from here only. Okay, suppose you want to okay okay so how this basically work is that whenever someone enters the address, it goes, Laravel checks whether that route is registered inside the web.php. Then when if that web.php, if that route is registered in the web.php, then it check whether which controller he needs to call and what method. First it checks what is the method of the request call. If the method is get request and that get request is registered, and then only it will call the controller. Suppose any user is calling via post request, so and he has installed get request, then method not allowed, exception will be called, because user has registered for post request and get request is calling. So it checks whether the route has been installed, registered properly, then it goes to the controller. Okay, and then inside the controller you write the business logic and return the view is basically the blade template. In Laravel, every asset is are present inside the resources folder. So in resources there are three types of directories. First is CSS, where you will write all the CSS. Second is the front end JavaScript or view that will be called every time when the application loads, and another is the blade template. So view directory consists of all the blade templates. Example, suppose if I want to change this documentation part, as you can see that route calls view directory. Okay, view directory welcome file. So this is the welcome file, and you can change anything you want and it will be reflected whenever you refresh the page. So now what we are going to do is that first we will install the so let's now we are going to create an we are going to give an authentication where user will register himself logged in, and then he will create his own Todo. So this is how our application is going to be. So let's install the authentication provided by the Laravel. So what we will do is that, as you can see in the Laravel framework, Laravel comes with like two types of authentications in basics, security. Okay, okay, okay. PHP artisan make auth, get started in front and starter kit. Okay, So for authentication we are going to use Laravel breeze, which will create a by default authentication boilerplates for us. First we have to, whenever you want to install a new package or plugins for the required for your application, you have to just have to enter the command like this: composer require, then the name of the package. So here the name of the package is Laravel, Laravel slash breeze dev. Okay, this was the command. So what it will do is that it will install the Laravel free package, authentication package for you, where you will be provided with all the scaffoldings required to provide the authentication. Okay, there was some command mistake. Yeah, L was missing, so let's enter it again. Yeah, you can see the Laravel breeze installing, and there are lots of warning right now. I think there is some PHP version issue in my side, but that's not an issue. So to give you an so basic fundamentals of Laravel you need to know are like how to create a view, like how to create a user interface, how to write a business logic, and how to interact with database. So as I said that the Laravel depends on the MVC framework. So so in this tutorial we will create a model which will interact with database. We will write the business logic of creating and updating and deleting the to-dos inside the controller. Let's call it to-do controller. Then we will register the routes, like suppose we want to load the all the to-dos of that user, then and we have to create, edit, update, then we have to register all the required routes of that module to make that functionality happen inside the web.php. So now the breeze has been installed. Okay, so now the another command it says is that you have to run php artisan breeze install. Okay, so now breeze is installing. So as I was saying that views, I think in Laravel 9 version, lots of things have changed, and but the fundamentals are same. Like you use model, you use controller, and there are a lot of things like if you dig deeper, then there are a lot of things which we are going to discuss in the upcoming tutorials. So to give you a basic understanding about how to create a crude app, that will make sure that your fundamentals are clear. In this video, we are going to discuss that. Okay, I think it's taking much time to install. Okay, so let's have a look into this. Like, see, this is the directory structure, like app console. So consoles are basically, as I said, using PHP artisan command line tool. You can run, you can create controllers, you can create models using command. You don't need to save as a existing model and write the or create a model. You just have to enter one command and model will be made for you by the Laravel framework. So if you want your own command, like you need to have command called php artisan welcome, then you will create a command inside this console directory and you will register inside the kernel, where once it is registered, you will see as soon as you type php artisan, then you will see your command there, and what action you have to perform, that will be inside that console, that command file. Okay, so this is about the console. Then another thing is the exception. Suppose, so how Laravel handles the exception is that whenever any exception occurs, it logs into the storage logs file. Okay, so there is an exception handler, where if you want to handle the exception as per your own, like if you want to send an email whenever the exception occurs, then you can write the code here to to send the email. As I said that if you want to report that report that error, to some team, then you can directly register, write an functionality here. Another directory is the HTTP directory. So HTTP directory, as the name says, is that it handles the HTTP part. Like if someone makes an HTTP request, first it will go inside the routes to check that route has been registered. Once that route has been registered, then HTTP folder will take care of all the things like controller. So basically controller is the, okay, just give me a minute. I think there was some issue occurred because of the, not to worry, we will just install a basic path. Let's see what it's saying. No, okay, I think they have used breeze. So as I was saying, that every business logic, like suppose you want to save the data, suppose you want to save the to do data inside the database. So you cannot directly communicate using model. You have to write the business logic, like you will write the code to save inside the model, save inside database, inside the controller, and once that is done, then you will test the functionality whether it is working or not. So controller basically handles the business logic or any logic you want to write, whether it is inside these controllers. Next is the middleware folder. So middlewares are basically the gates before giving any entry to the application. Before giving any entry to the request, first it will pass through that gate, and that gate is called a middleware. So middleware basically checks everything for you, like this is, so let's take an example of the authenticate middleware. So this authenticate middleware just check whether the user is authenticated or not. If not, then only then only execute that request and pass it to the controller. Okay, all the middlewares are installed inside the kernel.php file. Okay, next is the model folder. I think previously there was no any model folder. We have to just create a model inside the app directory, and I think in Laravel 8 or 8, from 8 I think they introduced the model directory, and in which every model will be created. So I think that's a good advantage for to improve the code visibility and all. Yeah, as you can see the user model. So models, what are models? Basically models are the tables. They're singular form of the table. Suppose your table name is users, then you create a model with a single record name. Users will become user, so name of your model will become user. Suppose your table name is to dos, then your model name will become to do, like this, not td, to do. Okay, so like this. So so here, suppose if your name is like, suppose your model suppose your table name is to do's, and you give them a model name to do, then you don't need to specify the table name inside the model, because it will take automatically. Laravel will understand the what he wants, which table he wants to connect with. So basically model, inside model you can there are lot of things which you can do, like lots of things, like if you want to save the data, whether you want to, how you want to retrieve and show the data to the user or to the view, you can, everything is possible inside the model file. Providers are basically the building blocks of the Laravel application. Like app service provider deals with everything related, whether app service provider, basically if you want to initiate any services or any service, whenever the application boots up or starts, then you will install these services, and every time any request is made, app service provider will look into that service and execute that service. Okay, this is I think new folder. Yeah, bootstrap, I think bootstrap are as far as I know that they are the cache, every configuration and cache are cached inside the bootstrap folder. config folder is very important for you, like any configuration. So Laravel has divided configuration into multiple things, like anything related to app are stored in the app config.app.php, config/app.php. If it is related to authentication, then it is mentioned inside the auth.php. Same applies to cache, CORS, CORS, cross-site or cross-origin scripting, everything related to, whether it is a database. Okay, yeah. So you can see there are a lot of env functions called. So env basically stands for, the it basically checks the env file. So whenever the Laravel app is installed, it comes with the env file, and here these are the environment variables. Inside a env file there are environment variables, like what should be the app name. So you don't need to change inside, go inside the config app and you will write here. No, you just have to create, you just have to edit these things. Suppose you want to have your own configuration file, just create any .php file, just save as this any file, and enter your own keys, like suppose you want to have a suppose you want to have your own configuration, you can create inside this file and give the reference to env file. Don't put static values inside the config folder, because see, any secured data should be mentioned inside the .env folder, which is very secure. So as you can see, all the env configuration, whether it is a database names, everything are mentioned inside the env file. Okay, from mails to storage to pusher, everything. See, white, I think this concept is also new for me, and I will also have a look inside the white packages, because a lot of things have been developed, and it's been like been a long time I have not looked inside the Laravel 9 version, but we will come up with the tutorials on white also. Okay, so as I am saying that Laravel app is not in Breeze is not installed correctly. So what it's saying is that unreserved word. So let's I think it happens. This is a part and parcel of the developer's life. So let's Laravel stack. So any error, if you get any error related to Laravel or support, just copy the actual error, like this is the actual error. Okay, so what I will do is that go into the Google, paste inside this address URL and address bar, and the search bar, and after that I will write stack. So I will directly get the stack result, and I will write the what it's related to. And also, since I'm doing the task of the Breeze, I will mention Breeze, and after that you can see Stack Overflow has given me some kind of answer. Yeah, I think this is my first video and I'm really enjoying it. So I think this tick mark has helped many developers a lot. And but how to solve this? Let's try it again. Breeze install unexpected reserve word Laravel. Why God, why? So basically it's related to white, I think, but so I think as I'm seeing this, okay, this Breeze is installed successfully, but there was some error there, I think. Oh, okay, I think this was a warning, so let's not worry about it right now, we will solve that later. So now let's do npm. Okay, let's run the application. And now you can see the login and register options available for us. So now before doing this, let's start with the main configuration. Like we have to create a database, we have to give the configuration of database inside the inside this. So once that are done, then we will start with this. So as I said, everything related to database or mail configuration apps, it is inside the env file. So here we will reference the you will enter the username and password and the database, where with inside which we will create a to do table which will store all the to do data. Okay, yeah. So first we will enter all the configuration inside the env file. Okay, so first we will create a database, then we'll use the database, then we'll create a to do table. So this is the table. I will give the reference of this file, data SQL file to you, or you can create it. It's easy. So what we have done is that we have created a table, to do table, which will have a foreign key called user id, so that each user, so what we are going to do is that each user will have his own to do. He can edit it, save that to do, and delete that to do. Okay, so that's why we have added a foreign key which will reference to this table. But before executing this configuration, this SQL file, first we have to make sure that users table has been created. So now once this is all done, then we will run a next command which will deploy all the databases, all the which will deploy all the migrations. So what are migration? Basically, as I told you that I've created an SQL file to create a table. Laravel comes up with the thing called migration, where you will create one migration, and inside that migration you can write a create table command, and it's very easy. And you don't need to have you don't need to send that SQL file. You just have to you just have to send the migration file. And suppose if your application gets bigger, and your team gets bigger, then sending these files, and there will be some kind of conflicts arising, like between the versioning. So to maintain that versioning, Laravel come up with the thing called migration. So migrations, you can see the migration inside the database directory, and inside database directory there is a migration folder. And this Laravel comes up with the the create user, create passwords, password fail, personal access token. These are the ready-made migrations Laravel comes up with. So now what we are going to do is that we will create a migration also for to do table. So let's get started. So what we'll do is that we will save the migration, or what let's do one thing. We will create a migration using PHP Arts and Tinker, and we will at the same time we will give a reference also. Let's get started. Okay, so now what we are going to do is that we will not execute this SQL file. This was just for a reference. This SQL commands were just for reference. You will create this, you will run these two commands, but we are not going to execute this command. We will use migration. So to create a migration, you just have to run the php artisan make migration command, followed by the name of the migration. So now we are creating a table. So what we will do is that we will write create to do's table and hit enter. See, the migration is being created. Yes, hooray. So as you can see, the migration has been created. Okay, so now here we have to create a column called title, to do title. Also we will give a foreign key reference to the users table, so that each user will have his own to do's, create his own to do's. So to do that, I copied this command, to be frank, but as you can see, so what we'll do, this is the ready-made to do migration created. So you just have to paste these two commands, or you can write this. So let's write it, and I will give you the explanation here. Okay, let's comment it. Okay, so first we will add title table. So since this is a varchar, this is a string, so what we will do is that to create a varchar or varchar data type column inside the to-dos table, we will use string function and we'll write the name of the column, which is title, and then we will enter. So what is this timestamps? Timestamp basically creates two additional columns, like created at and updated at, and lastly we will enter the foreign key relation. So table foreign followed by the name of the table which we are referencing. Sorry, the not the name of the table, I'm really sorry. So foreign function inside that, okay, I'm really sorry. First we have to create that column. So we have created the column unsigned big integer, then user id. Okay, so this will create an unsigned big integer, and then we will reference that column with. Now since this is a reference, I will mention references which column of which table on users, and if that column is deleted, then on delete what operations you want to perform, whether you want to cascade it. Cascade means if you delete that parent record, then this child record will also get deleted. So you can you can also pass cascade, don't do anything, or null, anything, any three values, but we will write cascade because if that user doesn't exist, then what what's the use of the to-dos? Okay, so now our to-do is done. So migration basically comes up with two functions, up function and down function. So as soon as you run migration, as soon as you run migration, then up command will run, and as soon as you want to roll back that migration, then this command will run, and what it does is that it will drop if exist to do table. So now let's run the migration. So now once our migration has been created, we will run following command: migrate php migrate. So now all these migrations will be, what it's saying is, so now let's run the migration. We'll run the migration using command php migrate. Yes, the migrations are being successfully executed, and now we are ready to write an application. We are ready to create a view and start with the application development. So now what so how I write, so how I write is that before writing code, first I register my routes. So what all routes I need. Before that, let me show you that what we have done right now. So with by installing Laravel bridge comes with the ready-made authentication. So now let's see. So first we will register a user. Let's enter his details. Oh shit. Okay, I think we forgot to run the npm run dev. Okay, Okay, so there was some issue occur inside my system. Basically, I had an older older version of Node installed, and it doesn't supported the latest white package. So now, since as you can see, Node is installed. Okay, let me delete that again. Node dash v, see the node, so node, so why it support Laravel. When you install Laravel 9 version, then you need to install the latest version of the node.js, which is 16.18. Then only you will be able to build your Laravel application, and then only you will get this win. So then only you will solve this error, which was white manifest not found, because see white was not installed properly. So now, since everything is all set, and let's get started with npm install. So what it does is that it will install all the required node modules, and then once these all node modules have been installed properly, then we will build our application, so that view will be installed and all the required files to load this UI, which was the registration. As you can see inside this, where okay, no, yeah, it will, let's, yeah. So now Laravel application, so let's build our Laravel application. So when you install the all the node modules successfully, then you have to run following command, which is npm run dev, which will build our application, build all the assets, like build all the assets like latest version of white dev, everything. Okay, so let's refresh our page again. We will go to our registration home page, and we will create a register, click on register button. Now I think it's loading, and let's see. Yeah, so finally we are as you can see on the screen, you are seeing the registration page. And so now we will create a user. Let's create a user for test@gmail.com, test, and we will hit register. Oh, password must be test 123 123, test 123. Now we'll hit register, and now yes, our we are inside the application. The user has logged in successfully. If you want to log out, you can directly log out from here. So now what we are going to do is that we'll create, just using only a Laravel blade or only Laravel template, we'll create a Todo application. So now, since we have migrated our whole migrations, our tables have been created. Now what we will do is that we will write a code. So now, before that, we will create one controller. Let's create a controller. I think it's taking very much time. Okay, cd crude, okay, php artisan make controller. Okay, what's the name of controller? Todo controller. So inside this Todo controller, we will write all the business logic of create, request, update request, and delete request, and loading all the to-dos also. So this kind of request, all the logic will be written inside Todo controller. So let's hit enter. Now the Todo controller has been created successfully. Yeah, see. Okay, yeah. So you can also create a boilerplate. Like if you have one model and you want to directly link that model, using Laravel, there is one command which will create all the things for you, like model, everything. So let's search what is that command. So what we will do is that we will go to Google and enter create model and controller in single command Laravel. As you can see, by putting resources flag, oh, see, so using make model name and giving the flag mcr. mcr stands for creating a migration, which we have already created. Create a controller and create a resource indicates if the generator controller has a resource controller. Okay, okay, generate all the migration factory and okay, yeah. So now using this command, you will also get sample data inside the, you can possibly dump sample data inside that and also generate the migration and model. So what we will do is that, no, we will not do anything. What we need is that we don't need migration, we just need controller and resources. So we are going to run following command. We don't need migration, so we'll just write controller and resources. We need controller and resources, so here it comes. Controller already exists, and model has been created. Yes, model has been created. Okay, but let's delete that model. See, there are lots of flag you can use inside and just create a controller. Okay, so now this to do, see, as I told you that to do's, if the table name is to do's, then you will create a model name to do, which it should be a singular form, so it is easy for Laravel to know the database name, also to know the table name. Okay, so now what we'll do is that we'll write route. So we'll register route, okay, slash to do's. It will call to do controller. Okay, to do controller @ index function. Understood? Okay, so now since I registered route, let's have a look into it. So when I enter the to do's, what it says is that to do controller does not exist. So we will just have to reference that app/http/controllers/to-do controller. Now we will, okay, index. Sorry. Okay, so Laravel has introduced a concept called grouping. Like you suppose you want to suppose you right now, as you can see the orders section, there are lots of requests that you want to register, but it should be called inside the order controller. The same we will apply to, for to do our to do controller. Okay, so what we will do is that we will create a to do controller reference. Okay, to do's. Okay, index. So basically to do controller will have one index function which will load all the to do's, another function called to do's which will be a post request which will store the data. Then there will be another function called delete. There will be a delete route which will call delete function. Okay, so now let's, so since these methods are not registered, we will register these methods inside the to do controller. Let's go. So public function index request equal to request. This is not needed, but now see, we want to show the to do data of that user, right? So now what we will do is that we will call to do model. So since to do model is inside app slash models slash to do, we will first write a reference and then we will call that model. So before that we have to, since these to do's are unique to each user, like every single user will have their own to do's. So what we will do is that we will add that code where, so whenever user is authenticated using auth class, you will be able to get that user ID, and we need that user ID, and using that user ID you can add the where condition into the to do model and get all the records for that users of to do's. Now return view to do compact to do's. So let me explain this function. So we created an index function. Whenever the index function is called, the to do view will called. If okay, but with that to do we will send all the data of that user, all the to do's of that user he created. Okay, so let's create a view inside the to do. So we will just write a save as, we'll just save as the dashboard. This is the easy way I think to create. Okay, so we'll not use anything, we'll just add static values, and now we'll just echo that to do's. Let's do that. Okay, as you can see the auth class is not found, so let's call that, let's use that. Whenever you want to call any class, we have to first use that above the class and then we have to call. Now we are good to go. Okay, so as you can see to do not found. Okay, so sorry, we created a to do's view and we got ref. Yeah, so you can see that now to do page has been created, and now what we will do is that we will create a functionality inside this where you will create to do, will delete to do's. Okay, let's start. First we'll add a button. Okay, form tag. So basically form method post action. As I told you, that to do's. So as soon as someone makes a post request to this to do URL, that record will be saved, that to do will be saved. Okay, so in action we will write the URL which whenever the user submits that form, which URL you want to call, that will be written inside the action folder. Okay, and now main thing, see if you don't write this so let me explain. Let's first create a input tag, type text name, let's give it a name to do text. Okay, and we'll create a button, this will be a submit button, type submit, save. Now let's refresh the page. Okay, let's put some style to it because it doesn't look good na. Button dash, I don't know now bootstrap is supported or not, but let's see. Okay, no worries. So see, whenever I enter any text like to do one and click on submit, the page is expired. So what does 419 means? 419 is basically that you are not passing token, the CSRF token. Whenever you make a request to the Laravel API or Laravel routes, not API, Laravel web routes, any post request, it should have a CSRF token, so that Laravel application will identify that this is a genuine request and no it will not. So basically this is all about the cross-site scripting. Like suppose there is another web application called crude app 2, and from crude app 2 I am calling crude app 1 to do route. So it means that there is no restriction to it, because if someone puts that request on loop, then it will overload the server, and eventually that server will get crashed. So to limit that cross-site scripting, Laravel came up with the token, the CSRF token. So every time whenever you write a post request, you should mention that inside. Laravel provides the helper function called CSRF, and with that you will be able to. Okay, so now let's check whether CSRF has been created or not. I think that is the right way to create a CSRF token. See, yeah, so you can see the hidden token has been created. So every time whenever you refresh that page, that token will get, see, the token will get changed. So this is a unique token for each request. So now you can see, suppose I want to let's submit that to do one again, create routes. So this is one first to do I am creating. Let's click on save. So now it says that method store does not exist. So now let's create the store method where we will store all the data about that to do. Again we will write a function store. So now since we will need the request variable, because request is sending some kind of form data, like example the name. So we have to access that name, and then we will insert that name, that the to do title inside the to do model. Okay, so now let's access that name using the following line. So request contains all the form data. Okay, and to access any form data, like suppose you are passing name C. Okay, So in this field, in this name, all the data you enter inside that text box, it will be accessible from this name. So you have to write this correct name only, like this will be in to do text. Now we will create a new to do by creating an object of to do class, to do model. And now inside title we will write to do text. But not only that, since this will be unique to each user, so we will also save user id, which we can get from, by following, which we can get by entering, by typing auth id. And finally we are going to call a save function, and then return redirect, and again we will redirect that user to todo's url. Let's get, okay, so see, let's create another to do, create controller and hit save. See, the another record has been created. So now I think the data has been saved inside the tables. So let's create a list UI, the table inside which we will let's design our UI. Basically that's what I'm saying. So Blade comes up with, he has his own for each for loops. With that you can easily create UI. So we will use for each. So so this is how for each loop starts, at the rate for each to do variable which we are getting through index route. And then this is, and inside to do this is the individual record. So now what we'll do is that we will create one, so we will create basically a table. Okay, and inside table we will write t head. So what will be the heading? th title. Also, so let's show the id also for our reference to know that whether the data is saved properly and not. And we'll close t head, and now we will create t body, and inside t body, so since every to do is a record, so we will use tr inside the for each, so that for each record the new tr will be created. tr tr I don't know why it is going to that same place again, but it's not an issue. So to access that data, like inside to do there is all data like user id, to do, title. So now let's access id. So using this arrow, like a variable name arrow which is points to id, it will give you the id which will be 1 2. And now we are going to display the title, and after that we also need the button to delete the to do, so we are going to basically create a button. So this will not be a submit button, this will be a id button, this will be a normal button. Okay, yeah. So let's, as you can see, the table has been created, and now class table, okay, yeah. I think there is one column pending. Okay, so now as you can see, the table has been created. Yeah, let's put BR because it was going side. Okay, I'm really sorry for the UI part, but I think they have used Tailwind. And let's look inside the, what all classes and content ready-made classes we can use. Let's go to the Tailwind documentation for displaying the table class. Okay, so basically Bootstrap and Tailwind are like are same. They have their own classes which will create a good table design for you. So see, we can just put a table class, table auto. No fixed over. Let's look like what basically what we are using to. So as you can see, let's just write this command, copy paste this command, so that at least a good UI will be created in our for our Todo. Okay, okay, so I think this is not that good. So these are the table layouts. Okay, so now since the table has been created, let's save another. Okay, create model. See, the model is here. So now what we'll do is that we will create a delete functionality. So whenever anyone clicks on this delete function, then that create model will get deleted. So first and foremost thing is that we have to check the route has been created. Okay, yeah, the route has been created, and since this is a post request, we have to need to send a post request. So what we can do is that we will create form inside that. So basically what we'll do is that we'll write a form tag, same form method post action delete to do's delete input type. We don't want to show the what actually we are sending, so basically we will hide that hide that text box using hidden attribute, and we will pass to do id, because every to do has its own id. So we will reference that id, we will pass that id, and using id we can delete that. So now since this is a submit, this is a form, so we will just create a submit button. As you can see, and as finally we have to pass CSRF token also. So now, as let's see, let's click on delete 404. Okay, so inside it, so okay, let's create the uh, delete function, delete, and access the what id. So first we will access the todo id inside controller, and then using find, we will find, using find function of the model, we can directly find the record, and we can directly, so if to do is not null, then to do delete, and this is how we delete. Then once that has been deleted, we will just redirect him to to do's. Fine. So let's test that, but it is saying that to do not found. Why bro, why it is not, why that route is okay, yeah, understood. So basically this is how we have to write. I think there is one another function called groups, or yeah, route group, where you just have to write the initial name, like, and then you can you don't need to write to do's every time. Yeah, we will make that optimization later, but to stick to the functionality, let's say okay. Yeah, so now everything is all set, and first we will check that we are getting to do id or not. Okay, as you can see, we are getting the to do id. So now I think it will work. We'll refresh. See, now the to do id has been, that to do id 3 has been deleted. Again we will click. Okay, I think edit functionality is missing here. We can do that. Okay, we can do that. So to give you a quick overview, like what we have done is that you will be wondering, like, there are too many functions which will be new to you, like redirect, delete. So let me give you understanding. So what we did is that first we registered our routes, like to make our to do application. First, whenever someone goes to the to do url, that user will see the to do's inside this page. Okay, so what we did is that we created an route to do's, and inside that we created the index function of inside the controller. So inside that controller there are we retrieve the to do records for that user id, and then we return that to do inside the blade file, and then using for each loop we displayed the to do with inside the table, and we also provided the functionality of delete also. Okay, So I think we need to know about the tailwind, but we don't need to worry about it. What we can do is that we can write our own style css, but let's look into tailwind part more, to know how you can use ready-made classes to create a table. So what we can do is that table sample tailwind. Okay, see. So what they did is that, I think it was in Bootstrap, it was very easier. We just write the to do, and it would have worked. Let's see. Let's save this and see what's the impact of it. Okay. Okay, so basically I have to write all the classes according to the tailwind. So what we can do is that we can copy this whole code. Okay, we'll just copy the this part. Okay, yeah, mostly it is same. So let's, so the best thing about the VS Code is that you can you can directly write on 3 th at the same time. You just have to click on the alt and uh, click on the where you want to add this functionality. It's very easy. So now let's look into our output. Yeah, it's very nice. I think it is getting developed. Okay, so same we will do for the classes. Same we will do for the to dos. As it's saying is that for tr we will add border p, then okay, these are very new classes for me, to be honest, but we are not we will talk about tailwind in the later tutorial. So for now we are just creating a to do app. Okay, yeah, so let's see how our application look. Oh, that's great. Okay, so let's add class to the button. Let's add color to the button. Let's, since this is a delete button, we will use danger button. So danger button css classes are, see how much classes you have to do, to, this is very bad because you have to write all the classes. I don't know how someone can, keep this much classes in mind, because yeah, in the meantime it will get you will get used to it, but for newbie and who is coming from Bootstrap, it's very hard. But let's see. But why we are not getting the classes? I think it's because of the, let's do one thing. Let's just display all the buttons and see how the output is actually looking, because I think there are these some classes are not supported, only dark is supported, and I don't know why we are getting this kind of issue. See, so bg red, I don't know why this why it is not supporting. BG red tailwind, let's solve that. We will get understanding. Basically we any issues which we are facing right now, we will solve in the real time, so that you can see what we are doing right now. is not showing red button. So I figured out that what problem. Laravel 9 tailwind button sample. Let's, yeah, I'm seeing another one Todo, but I need that class, like how that class works. See, as you can see in another tutorial also, they have done the same thing. Okay, yeah, if we had used the Vue.js, then we would have used fetch function of the JavaScript. Like if you introduce JavaScript in this, then I think this that much code we do not have a need to write. Okay, so what we will do is that we will write our own classes. I think this is very, we'll just style here, style, and background red, color white, and just check. Yeah, it is showing now. So now let's change our button name to delete and add some padding to it, because I think that even if this much classes we are importing, some classes, I think tailwind has not loaded all the classes which we require. So that's why what we are going to do is that we are going to add padding by ourselves by using inline style. So let's do. Okay, you can see this. Okay, so now this is how our application is looking. We will add edit button also now. Let's add edit button. So what edit button will do is that so how to add edit functionality, like you have to send data to this and you have to show that data, and then we click on save, the data will be saved and redirect to again to same page. As I'm saying it again, that we are not using any kind of Vue.js or JavaScript front-end thing. We are just using Glade and using controller, like only MVC model of the Laravel framework. We are creating a Todo application. We are going to discuss about the front-end part, like using Vue and other front-end UI and JavaScript to create a Todo application, but that is a part of another video. So let's do the edit functionality. What we'll do is that we'll create a same TD, but here we will register a route called edit, which will send the edit ID, and then when you click on the edit button, it will route to the edit URL, edit to do. So we have to create an edit to do function inside the controller. Or else what we can do is that, I have one thing in mind, like we can reuse the index function. Why you need to write another function? You just have to add some functionality to it, like if someone passes if is set, which means that if someone passes request to do id, then what you have to do is that find that to do. Okay, find that to do and pass that to do variable. So if there is to do, then we pass that to do inside the to do variable, or else we pass it as null. Now finally we pass this same variable inside the compact. So let me give you an like explanation about the compact. So compact is basically you can pass lots of variable inside this function, but do not include the variable dollar symbol. You just enter or type the variable name, as in this case is to do. So now our edit functionality is also possible. We are halfway there. So now we will just go above, and now inside this we will add if condition. If is set, if is set to do, then pass id also, sorry, id, and then same, since this is an edit functionality, we have to show the data. Like if someone clicks on this edit button, that to do one, this to do one will be seen inside this, and will be shown inside the this text box. So what we will do is that yeah, there is some error occurred actually. Okay, so let's do one thing. So summing up again, we created another form tag, and we put an action to do slash edit. So when we make that to do edit request, it goes to the index function of the to do controller, where it checks that whether to do id has been passed or not. Correct? Okay, so once the to do id has been passed, then we send the to do record inside the to do object to the blade, to todos.blade.php, and here we will check that if to do is passed and to do is not null, then add hidden input, which will have the to do id, the existing to do id, which will be sent every time the form id has been the form whenever the that item edit functionality has been in progress. So now we just need to display same else. So what we will do is that we will write if condition. In else we will not show any data, because this is else is the situation where we are creating a to do, and if is a condition where we are the to do variable has been passed and we need to show the data. So now inside value we will show the to do title. Let's see now. Okay, we will refresh the page. Let's change the color first, I think, because these are very like this is not a correct color. Let's call it as blue. I think blue will work fine. Okay, great. Okay, so we'll click on edit, to do slash edit. Now let's see that route is correctly registered or not. See, again we have made the same mistake, which is to do slash edit. Now we will check and submit the form. Yes, you can see that to do one is inside the box. Now what we will do is that we will update that text, updated, and save. So now you can see that new record has been created, because we have not written a functionality to, to find the existing id if it is sent. So how to do that is that check if is set request id. If id is not passed, which it means, then create a new record, or else find. So inside find will pass the id. So the magic of this code is that, if you pass id, then you will get the to do id, and below this line, these lines will automatically update the user. You don't need to change anything below this. You just have to write this code. Like if someone is creating a new to do, then it will go inside the else section, and then following line will be executed and new to do will be created. But if someone is passing a to do id, existing to do id with updated data, okay, with updated to do text, then that id to do will be updated. Let's see it in the live. So I will refresh this page. I will click on here and check id. I will change it to do id 6 and save. As you can see, the to do id 6 has been, it has been updated now. So now let's delete the to do. Oh, I think there is some issue. Title cannot be null. Why title cannot be null? Why we are getting some of this same issue again and again? I think because, let's try it again. Oh, I think there was some issue. Like if I updated this and again saved, then delete, okay, it's working. Then delete, it's working. Good. So now using only Laravel framework, we have created a to do application. So now let me show you another magic, another good thing. Let's log out. Oh, why this is happening? Okay, so what we'll do is that we'll register again with test2 2@gmail.com, test2 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 test2. Now we'll register. Here we will go to to-do section, and now you will see that, I mean to say is that every user will create his own to do. Like see, to do's, to do 2, this is to do, no, wake up. Let's start with, let's store the data. Wake up, eat breakfast. So now I'm saving these to do's for test2 user. I will log out it again and log in with test and test 1 2 3 1 2 3. Now I will go to do's of test 1 2 3. See, now local host 808.800. I will log in as, at the same time I will log in using test2 @gmail.com, test2. Here you can see that each user is having his own to do, and he can delete that, he can edit that. Okay, see, So this is how we have created a Todo application. Yeah, I understand that, you know, design is not that we have not designed it properly, but I think this works for me, and for this will work for you to understand the basic fundamentals. So to sum this whole tutorial again, what we did is that we first created a Laravel application using composer create Laravel command. Then we installed Breeze, so that authentication scaffolding. So basically Laravel provides the authentication, ready-made authentication, so you don't need to write any login code, registration code, authentication code. Laravel just you know, give that to us, and we don't need to do anything about it. We can use it as, and we can also customize that. We will talk it in next video. So so we created an fresh copy of Laravel. Then we install all the dependencies, we install Breeze. Then we created a migration where we created a to-do migration. And so we created a migration, then we deployed that migration, and then we, after deployment of that migration, we created a model. We wrote everything inside the controller. Okay, so let me show you again. So what we basically did is that once the fresh copy of Laravel was installed, and you know, we installed the Breeze. Then then see, first we created a copy, created a project, Laravel project, then installed dependencies. Okay, install dependencies, check node plus, check your node 16 plus installed. Then we installed Breeze, which gives us the ready-made authentication and scaffoldings. Then we build our application, then we install all the node dependencies. Okay, installed node dependencies. Finally we build our front end using npm run dev. After that our main work began, which is we registered our routes. So so we so this was about the to-dos now. So we created a to-do application. So basically we registered our route inside web.php, and we created 4 routes. First is the to-dos route. So this is basically the to-dos homepage, and which, so as soon as someone enters the to-do URL, as soon as someone calls this URL, the index function of the controller will be called. Of this to-do controller, the index function will be called. So inside that index function, what we basically did is that we fetched all the users entered, all the to-dos created by that user, logged in user, and showed and displayed it inside our blade file, todos.blade file. So after sending that, we created a form. And inside form we passed CSRF token. As I said, as I've also discussed about the CSRF token previously. So we created a CSRF token, then we created one input text box. We give that name a to do text, where where we will enter the to do text like this, to do text, and we hit on save. So as soon as you hit on save, the store function of the to do controller will be called. See, there is a difference, like get will show the data, to do data, and post will save the data using store function. So inside store function, basically what we did is that we accessed the request form data using request variable, and then we stored it inside the model. So this is how we store the data. So this is how we store data inside a module. So if condition is to find if id is passed inside the request, which means that to do is updated, not created. Okay, If id is not passed, which means that to do is created and you have to create a new to do. So using this line of code, we create a new to do, and finally we create write this command. So using to do points to title. Suppose we want to save the title, then we will write to do points to title is equal to the request the data form data, and at the same time we access the user id using auth/id and save that. And when the save when the to do has been successfully saved, we redirect that user to the that request to the same to do's url to get the refreshed to do to get the newly to do added shown. And after saving the data, we we created a good UI. Like, this is not a best UI, but this is a good UI where we showed all the data entered, saved about the to do inside the table, and we added two buttons. One is edit and one is delete. So when we click delete button, so how this delete the button actually work is that we inside a for loop. See, so suppose there are 10 to dos, then we create a 10, automatically it creates 10 forms, delete forms, and we pass. So each delete form will have its own id. Suppose there are two ids, then two tr will be created, table rows will be created, and inside that there will be one inside that they will have their own delete form, and each to do will be identified by using id, as you can see. So tip here is that if you are passing any kind of id, don't show it inside to the user, just put it inside the hidden object, and pass the submit button, add the submit button. And whenever, so now when user clicks on the delete button, the delete route will be called, todos.delete route will be called, as you can see, todos.delete and delete function inside the controller will be called. So how delete function work is that we access the to do id passed from the request, and we find that to do, find that record, table record using model, using find function. And then once we find that to do, as we know that if to do is not null, which means that record is there, then we delete that to do, and again finally we redirect that request to the to do's home page. See, again we are getting this kind of same issue, but see, it got deleted. Some kind of bug or there's some kind of issue, we will solve it later. But see, this is how we implemented the operation. And finally, about the edit functionality, we use the same index function. Like if someone clicks on the edit, we will call same index function, get request. Okay, as soon as someone clicks on the edit button, see, as soon as someone clicks on the edit button, I think I got the issue. Let's see it. So as soon as someone clicks on the edit button, what we did is that we created a route called edit, which will call same index function, and which will load same data. Okay, but this is not a resource optimized approach, because every time to edit a single record, we are calling all the records again, which is not a good approach. But to make this model working, we are using that. We will optimize it in later thing. So another thing which we can do is that we will create another blade object, another blade file, and we will show that blade edit file, and once they are submitted, we redirect that to them. So that is also possible, I think. So let's create another file which will just save the todos.blade file, add edit to do. Okay, and then we don't need to dos, right? We don't need this table basically. So we just need to Okay, so in edit, so basically we have to create one. We will just copy paste this function edit, and now we will not load all the data, as I told you that this is not a resource optimized approach. So now we are trying a resource optimized approach, because we don't have to load every time when we click on edit button. We will not load all the data of that user. We will just load the form. So edit underscore to do will be loaded. As soon as someone clicks on the edit, it will load this form, and we will pass to do. Redirect to do's. Okay, let's try it. Okay, I think we created, but we did not give the reference of the newly created function. So let's do that. See, sorry, this is the post function na. So let's do that. See, edit. So this is so if this issue is happening na, what we can do is that we will just put the put our whole URLs inside, URL function. So what it will do is that you don't need to worry about the routing, like the thing which is happening right now. Todos inside todos is getting called, which is not good approach. So we are going to use URL functions. Same for delete also, so that we don't get unnecessary. See, so now edit. So now once the editing has been done, it will redirect to the index page. So this is how this is a resource optimized approach. And we have also see, this is the first tutorial, and we there will be some mistakes from my side also, but I think I think I've answered your basic, at least the basic understanding of the Laravel framework, like how it works and all. And if you are having any queries, just let me know, like how I can improve, and we will get started, because I'm going to post too many, like there are like 30 to 40 videos in line, I'm going to shoot and going to post on this channel. So let me know what you think about, and if you are facing any issues regarding the Laravel framework, feel free to ask me, because I think I'm using Laravel framework from past I think it's been 5 to 6 years. Hope you guys like it, and if you have any queries regarding anything about the Laravel, just let me know in the comment section. We are also going to discuss about like the latest versions of the Laravel, like what all improvements have been done, because I'm also kind of new to the Laravel 9 version, because I've been using Laravel 7 and 8 till now. So we will also do that video also, like what all things have been upgraded, and for the old to the Laravel developers who are also who are not having that much idea about the Laravel new version, like they have also introduced like white and Docker. So I think I'm excited to try that features, because I think I've heard it that they are excellent features. They have their own pros and cons, and I think we will explore that also. So hope you guys like it, and have a good day. Bye.